So that's my dad and I. One of my first trips up when I started caretaking him over a 7-year period, which is a Saturn cycle. Um, and we had lunch at a restaurant in his family's town of growing up. Um, so he was able to tell me a lot of stories of the family, including a drunken uncle that they just locked up the doors and let him sleep it off on the pool table, apparently. But anyway, my dad's dad came from Sweden, and so that's the Swedish connection there that I find so interesting with the property address with the Swedish astronomer that studies Jupiter objects. So anyway, this was his very first selfie, and he said, "Don't put it on the internet." He had a great fear of being found by somebody that he had done wrong, had a argument with. So anyway, so there he is. And this is our composite chart, which a composite chart is a chart of a relationship, and it shows things really spot on. I have the planets in the sky for the 23rd of July. Here, and they go this way unless they're retrograde or a node, and they go this way. So a composite chart of the relationship shows the goals and things of the relationship itself, not so much the people. You can compare the people's chart to what's inside of it, and you'll find a lot of things correlate. And then there's synastry, where you take the two charts and you match, what's at 0 Leo, what's at 6 Sagittarius, whatever, and all the connections there. So a composite chart is the relationship itself and shows its purpose. And the sun, our sun is 9th house, which is beliefs and philosophies and growth of the self, being here in Aries at 3 degrees, right next to the Mars. We argued quite a bit over beliefs and philosophies. But like I said, I was able to teach him some things there at the end that kind of relieved his fear of going to hell. So, that was a nice end goal. Your Venus is your spiritual purpose at its highest esoterically. And, Venus in the 11th house, Taurus, is beliefs and values also. It's ruled by Venus. So it's in the 11th house, which is the collective, groups and people that you belong to, friends. And what's most fascinating is the 19-degree Cancer rising. Now, there are symbols for every single degree, which is these little black marks around the chart. And the symbols all have meaning under Sabian symbols. And then there are also Chandra and Omega and Azoth, which are my favorite because they're more spiritual in nature generally. And I'll show those in a minute. But the Chandra symbols also are more related to the descendant axis, from what I've been understanding of them. And there are certain degree points that activate this or, are related to it. So the Sabian for 19 Cancer, a little skewed here, but come back to your destiny, the sacred union, a priest performing a marriage ceremony. And that's important because my first marriage, my dad was really upset that he chewed me out on my honeymoon that I didn't invite him to the wedding. But I did. And he was drinking at the time. And he said, well, don't think that I'm going to pay for it. And don't think that I'm going to fly down. You'll have to pay for my travel, too, and hotel. And he was just a real butthole. So I had my stepdad give me away. And then when we went up there on our honeymoon, because I wanted to see my friends graduate, I graduated a year early. And we got in a fight, and that pretty much started the whole I didn't talk to him for almost 20 years thing. There's just no talking to him. So he did fly down, and I paid for it for my third wedding, and he was able to give me away to my husband, whose last name sits at the Galactic Center in my chart. And so, anyway, the salvia tickles me. Um, Something else with the Chandra symbol is the basic is a possum comes out in the moonlight. And one of my trips up, I was talking about how my husband had found a possum that had been walking along the fence line, and it slipped, and it was hanging by its testicles in the corner of the fence. And we've had a lot of possums that would come out onto our porch at night. So that tickled me. But the more further explanation for the Chandra symbol of our composite rising is a man memorizing Chinese characters, manifesting and responsible. And the degree angel is Anil, the big picture and breaking the circle, um, which is what I'm trying to do is break these generational karmic cycles that keep passing the pain down. But so you're trying to find keys to understanding yourself, new ways of communicating. This is what I kept trying to do. Uh, you need to approach this in a gradual way. Keep at your efforts. You become easily frustrated. Uh, the antidote to this is patience and perseverance. The world always seems unusual to you, for you take nothing for granted. It's a beautifully open-minded way of being, so long as you can avoid becoming overly insecure. So the possum comes out in moonlight is the degree. The Chinese characters mentioned at the top, a man memorizing Chinese characters is much like me learning the foreign language of astrology and the different glyphs and meanings that I tried to share with him some. And the possum is engaged in exploring. It's an Aries degree, which I have a whole bunch in Aries. Um, Very highly subjective and interior. I do have a fourth house moon in Virgo. I have a lot of deep inner emotions that I'm constantly pulling up and looking at things. Um, so anyway, so Scorpio 10 is the seed degree for that, and it's in a field of dandelions, a yellow dragon appears. Sensing the deep mysteries and wonders behind what is usually considered everyday and mundane, we seek a unique and poetic language with which to communicate with the fabulous. When I was a little girl, I had two repetitive dreams over and over and over. And one had to do with a black box, and the other one was me walking in the back part of our property through all the wildflowers that grow there, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex would come out and start chasing me. So the black-eyed Susans, very close to dandelions, and there are dandelions that grow like they're like crazy, um, really suits that. And the yellow dragon, well, it was a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but still, the similarity tickles me. And on a human nose, a wart that turns into a diamond. Seeing the beauty and meaning behind seeming imperfections, we allow our hidden aspects out so that hopefully their needs may be met. So that's the seed degree, and the seed degree in our chart is the sassaflora, that sassafras trees and roots that I love so much that my mother would, and whenever I come up, my dad would dig some up for me. Um, so that's the seed degree. I'll show real quick. There's probably more here. I mean, it's just the way it is, but the sassaflora here in Scorpio at 936, which would round up to 10, is fourth house, which would rule the land, home, family, and it's opposite our Venus here. Um, Squares my current last name in the composite, and um, okay, I'm gonna lose my train of thought. So anyway, very fascinating. Now back to the Chandra. The characters continue to enter his mind and fall away. until they eventually stayed lodged in his memory. I've been doing this for 9 years. I started studying the journey, studying astrology, and I went my own way because of some things that had happened from a reading I had gotten, and um, started really exploring different ways. So he loved learning old words that he later found in museum cases carved in jade. I have been a word nut since I was a little girl. I was given a book. I don't know where it came from, and the story behind that book, it's a story of words and word etymology and all these myths and how things came to be, and I lost that book when I moved from Indiana when I was 14 down to Florida, and that turned up at my uh, Saturn Square in a Goodwill with my name written inside of it. So that book came back to me, and I hold on to that. That is a precious, precious thing to me. Um, so anyway, I don't see the fulfillment degree. Usually there's a fulfillment degree, and this one isn't. But the seed degree was important enough. So enough on that. When I show things, I have to keep it simple, and it's really hard to do because there are midpoints, and there's the degree symbols, and then there's different layers of the astrology. The way that things can play out, and just because you have a Venus opposite Sassaflora here, that can come out in different ways too. You know, this connects to the Uranus here also. I see. I didn't mark it, but I did with the magic symbol, the 6-pointed star. So my mom's maiden name connects to it here, and in transit, my mom's maiden name was connecting, and there's Gagnero right on the Venus. Um, change and aura right here at my current last name in the 8th house. That was the divorce proceedings and his death and all that. Um, so anyway, our ascendant also has ash on it, if nobody had caught that yet. And here I am making a video about the ashes. It wasn't something I pre-planned. I just happened to sit down later that evening after I cried and charted it all out. I'm like, oh my gosh, with the Sinatra and everything. So anyway, let's see what's next. All right, because I gotta pay attention here. So the North Node and the South Node here are connecting to that ascendant in a positive trine and sextile, 30 and 120 degrees. And the North Node's in that 9th house. The nodes of fate go clockwise. And so they connect to the mailing address town, that Ginky here in the 10th house, which is the public house. Aries, where I work on the self and do these videos and all that. Ginky is my childhood nickname, if anyone's not sure. And then Transit Venus connects here. Serendip, which is synchronicities, here in Leo, and that rules the heart. Opposite Sinatra in our composite. In conjunct Memoria, and it was a memorial service, and it was full of memories. And okay, connects to truth. And there's the South Node, and then Mars and Miller here conjunct at 21 degrees. All of this. So Memoria was actually at 6 degrees 37 minutes on our IC emotional foundation, and that'd be opposite our midheaven, where I am publicly now showing all of this. It's very top pinnacle of your chart, what you hope to accomplish in this life. And it's connected to karma. Dad B, the booger, and the location. The moon at 6:53 here passed over Jupiter, um, and had passed over chaos, which is crazy things because it was crazy what that last trip I made up there trying to get everything handled, and I just had to stop and do this. And chaos, of course, is that cosmic creativity and inspiration. Um, so it connects to Saturn and location, which are conjunct here, 11th Gemini, childhood home. Saturn is, related to property and real estate, and even the trailer was my grandparents, and it involved my siblings, of course, not especially fairly, but I did what he asked to have done. So, tried to. Um, so then that also connects here to chaos, right here on our midheaven. I just explained what chaos was, and it's in the ninth house, which the beliefs and philosophies. Ninth house is, the spiritual path of the self here in Aries, and right next to that, Mars and Sun, the nearest name there. So then we have the property address. Sits right here on the ninth house cusp with Frankie with an E, and Hunt, the county that my mom and I were born in, and um, he loved to hunt, and I put the ashes on his hunting chair. Um, Connects, and then the Morpheus um, is related to. Oh, I'm so not good with memorization. That's why I like having all my files related to receiving messages from beyond. So, so yeah, that's the hearts, and then see, I didn't go too crazy on this one with all of those glyphs. So we had the sun was at 025 that day, and of course we had the Cardinals Grand Trine going on, and Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Libra, and so the sun at 25 actually connected to our progressed composite dad's name at 025 exactly, and that actually makes a finger of God to the nearest named area, which ends in birth. And there was actually some old wounds regarding my birth. He wasn't there, and that's how mom butchered my name, and he was off partying. So, anyway, eighth house does rule birth also. And so, even if he couldn't admit out loud, he knew what he did. So that connects to Deadwood here, and the county name and black and white thinking, and the Mercury here in the ninth house. Now, as I had said, Mercury had gone retrograde when he died, and it had gone retrograde when I made the trip back up. So then it also connects to, let's see, Uranus at 038 makes a positive sextile to the sun, to the part of fortune here, another finger of God, Yod, and squares birth. Um, Sun. Zeus, 2959. Right next to Dad B, the booger. So Zeus is, he was a god that dallied in too much fun, and Hera, his wife, put up with a lot. And Zeus is very, very strong in my chart, as well as his and my mom's and somebody else. And so anyway, so Zeus is opposite birth. Like I said, he was off partying, Dad being Zeus, when I was born. And yeah, so much fun, isn't it? So The things we do, chasing pleasure. Um, and Zeus squares the composite Juno here too. So the new moon that we just had is actually on Child in the galactic center where Sinatra was in July. And here I am making the video. It was on my last name sextile or karma on Child square Dad B. Yeah, so I just showed that. Or is that in my chart? I'll be doing that one for the last one. So I make myself notes because I do get so confused and excited and digress too much. But our Pluto, transit Pluto was trying to our Pluto. And Pluto, it rules, contracts beyond death and astrology, death itself, power struggles, and, Hylanome grief here is at 29 degrees opposite the sun. Grief over losing a mate and someone important to you. Pluto was also square to our Neptune in the fourth house, which in Scorpio would be related to not just the addictions and the abuses and all of that, but there's a lot of power struggles in our family and yucky stuff that just doesn't. Anyway, everyone has their part in it and their paths in it. So Scorpio also likes to dig for the truth, so that's a big deal for me in that regards. Now, I haven't located it yet, so I'll move on to, let's look at our moons in the third house, and that's communications, Virgo. My dad's like, oh, all your friends are successful. How come you're not? I guess you just marry well. And I would nitpick at him about the way he would use radiator hoses to fix the sink in his kitchen when it cost $10 to buy a new part. So, we communicated a lot, and it connects. Moon is also women as well as emotions, and then there's the intuition things too. Even though his physical self here couldn't send messages, even down at the beach in Texas and at my home, he contacted. We would say his spirit contacted me, his aura. So that's opposite our Morpheus in the ninth house also, and it makes us square to Indiana. A semi-sextile here to Divine, where Pax change and Mercury we're here at. Opposite my current last name. I was packing it up because of what was happening in Texas. And it's connecting here to Ginky and the property address right here at our moon. Demise, and Demise was Lovejoy also with it here. And then on our North Node path in the fifth house, which is the house of creativity, and Scorpio does rule digging deeply and transforming things. So, power struggles with the children and things, that fifth house. So just crossed over the North Node, which is the direction that we take in life, is Nyx, which is the mother of chaos, and that had some good children, bad children, and a connection to the divine realms. Narcissus, and my mom's maiden name here, Aura had crossed over it. You know, I had the 4 cardinals land on the trailer 2 days before that happened, right as the cardinal cross was happening. And okay, that connects to the vertex, which is Destiny's Gateway. And on the anti-vertex then is Indiana. And I was born in Texas, so we went to Indiana where my dad's family lived, and that's where they bought the property and everything. But so it connects to my mom's name, Miller, Mom Miller here, and the mailing address town was a retrograde, so going this way, past that, when I had gone up there to start working on things. Opposite truth, current last name, Dad Regas, right here in the top, public house, reputation. So he's connecting to all the yellows. The south node passed. Serendip is conjunct that, opposite the north node. And I always told him, even though he never said I was crazy when I would tell him about things. He'd go, But I started pointing things out to him, and so he realized I just saw things differently. And so anyway, so that's fun. What else? All right, right down here in the bottom, we have Gagnero and Jupiter, who is also Zeus, by the way. It's spiritual connection and protection. It's spiritual journey, purpose, ruling this 9th house in the Sagittarius. But our vertex here in Destiny's Gateway in Sagittarius, right at the Great Attractor black hole. So anyway, and Child at the Galactic Center is also ruled by that Jupiter. We have Dad A, and then my dad's actual name are all here, 10, 11, 12. And so those connect around, again, connecting to my current last name. The marriage had similar issues than my mom and my dad did. So, and in conjunct the Venus here in Taurus. I know there was other ones that I didn't mark that were around the 10, 11, 12, so connect also to 9 with me. And it's funny, 1017 is where I sit here, and this is where my journey started at that address, at that house number, and that is a numerology number connected to Vesta, which is the caretaker and the holder of ancient sacred wisdom. So just more fun I like to find. Now, the Texas location, which specific location of where I was living in Texas, by transit was in conjunct to our Sun and Mars here in the 9th house, which also rules law and long distance journeys like going from Texas to Indiana and the spiritual path. So that was forming an uneasy energy there. And connecting to chaos, most definitely. You know I'm going to miss a bunch here. It's the way it is. There's so much, and my brain never stops. It's ridiculous. So Rosetta here, the Rosetta Stone, I link it also to astrology along with Babylon. I can put that one in here. Anyway, so Rosetta makes a positive sextile to Chiron, which is the wounding and the wounded healer. Communication, 12th house is addictions, spiritual contact. So we have this sextile here making a finger of God to Wood and Mom Miller, and the descendant axis here in Capricorn. So that was activated by the nodes of fate, by Venus. Our chart ruler is the moon, and the nodes of fate are related to the moon. Long explanation, but as I said, the north node was trying to it. The moon crossed over it. Lots and lots of connections. Dad's name right here, making a positive sextile also towards that great attractor in this 6th house cusp. Oh, lots to explain, but demise is square to our sun here also. But it's trying to Pluto here in the 2nd house. Okay, what else? What caught my attention and slowed me down was I noticed that Pax at 723 just passed our IC, Emotional Foundation, Roots, Home. Pax is just here in the 4th house of family, deep inner emotions, and was connecting to Dad B in the location here. And anything else is around 5 to 9 degrees. So, yeah. There was one more thing that I missed. Let me pause. Oh, the Hunt and Ash and Frank and Sassaflora here connect to Nyx, which is also close to the name of a nearby town, and to the Highland Gnome, the Grief, where Frankie had crossed over, the county Black and White Thinking, Dad Regis and Morse at our Karma in the 4th house, Home and Family, Libra, relationships. And of course, I was connecting there. And opposite Child and Divine, and Chiron that was just stationing retrograde, so its energy was stronger. Mom Miller here in transit was also square to the sun, and Highland Gnome connecting to that Uranus that rules them so well. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot craziness. Oh, Deadwood here in transit is at Frank Zoo. I'm connecting to all of those also. So this is how my mind works, and it takes a lot of time to do these charts, to change out the names and everything. I'm able to do it just to show somebody privately, and I don't have to do all the editing, and that's awesome. But the Texas location here in our composite is opposite Gagnerow, Jupiter long distance, spiritual connection, expansion, and Dad and all that. Also, I just saw that. I see it all while I'm putting it together, and then I'm like, well, I forget when I'm doing this and change an aura in my current last name. So anyway, it just kind of shows you some of the things that I've come across and found. I still haven't figured out where's, I'm going to look real quick. Karma sextile, my last name, in conjunct my shamrock, which I found 2 5-leaf clovers and a 4-leaf clover. When I found the 5-leaf clover, the first one, my dad goes, well, that don't mean nothing. And I'm like, what? So I just have to laugh. But those shamrocks were something that my mom and I would look for 4-leaf clovers, and she finally found one. I put it in a frame, and now there's my son, my youngest 4-leaf clover he found, and my 2 5s and the 4 I finally found are all together. But the shamrock in my chart connects exactly to my current last name too. So just fun stuff. You have to laugh at some of the things that happen. I do anyway. Otherwise you go crazy, right? Okay, so I'm sure I missed things, but um, yeah, we're thanks for watching.